mute. Get in the frame. Get in the frame. Get close.
Today is all you.
No, today is all science. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's Learning Space. We are broadcasting from George's office because my computer's still in the resource center. There's a whole bunch of people working down there. So, yay. So we're squishing here. I brought my laptop. Right. I'm driving from the laptop, so hopefully you guys can hear and see us just fine. And are not seeing the other screen big until I actually use it for screen sharing. So yay! So thank you guys for coming along for what will be my last Learning Spaces host, at least.
As host, but not necessarily in appearance.
Right, right. So you guys are saying some lovely comments that are making me want to cry. So I got a hi everyone from Nancy Graziano, one last Learning Space for Nicole, bittersweet day. She also said something nice about next stage in my career. Next stage of my noisy life. There we go, next chapter of my noisy life. So in fact, Nancy lives not far from where my mom lives, so totally gonna hang out in July.
Yeah, awesome.
And I have my month off.
Good restaurants and have some good times.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Might even bring my mom.
Maybe.
And Guido says, I believe Nicole will still be part of everything, CQ and Learning Space, so thank you, wish you the best. This will not be the last year of the Noisy Astronomer. I'm not going anywhere. I've been on Twitter as a Noisy Astronomer since like 2006. I've been on Twitter since 2006, so you can't get rid of me that easily. And Adam Synergy, I know I speak for everyone watching both now and in the past, wishing Nicole every success in her new job. Thank you. Thank you so much for all your work to bring the universe to our lives. Don't be a stranger. I am not going to be a stranger, and I will say noisy, I promise. I was at a wedding this past weekend with some of my friends from grad school, and I was reminded of how noisy I can be by my friends I haven't seen in like 2 years.
Yeah. What did they say?
Just comments about, oh, there she goes again. Shh, indoor voice and things like that.
Indoor voice.
Even though it was an outdoor wedding.
Even though the wedding had a penguin there.
The wedding had a penguin.
Yeah.
This is related to science. The couple that got married are Dr. Gail Zazowski, Dr. Danny Wick, two of my best friends from grad school. Married after they've been together for 9 years.
Astronomers.
Both astronomers. One's at NASA, one's at Johns Hopkins. And yeah, so good astronomy couple with a wedding full of astronomy guests and an astronomer officiant. It was pretty awesome.
Yes.
So
yes.
that was pretty awesome. So we have some business to take care of. In particular, I had you guys voting on what tattoo I would get as a result of the Hangout. So I can't
wait to find out.
We need to I'm going to officially close the form now because I just tweeted it, which means people will probably be trying to link in, but I'm going to turn it off now.
Too late.
Too late.
Right.
Okay. Unlink. Wait. Is it?
So yes, so we will have an answer. And then when will the tattoo actually happen?
Don't know yet. If I have time and financial resources over the summer, I would like to get it in Staten Island in July because that's where I got my first tattoo at Ron and Dave's tattoo shop. If they're still open in Staten Island. So I went when I was 18 and I went for some piercings, and I'll be, you know, because if you get your ears pierced at the mall, at least for me, they tend to get infected. If you go to an actual tattoo place to get your ears pierced, you're gonna do better.
I didn't know they pierced ears there.
They pierce all kinds of things. Okay, I have a belly button ring. That's it. I swear that's it.
What's a tattoo cost these days for what you're potentially thinking of? Really?
Considering I got the last tattoo I was 18, so that was like 2000? No, 2002? I don't know. Yeah, it was
not long ago, really.
Long enough ago in monetary terms, I think. So yeah, it depends on time and resources. Hopefully I'll get there. If not, I will wait till I get settled in Manchester, and that'll be a fun conversation. Like, hi, I just moved in. I'm the new professor. Can you recommend a tattoo shop?
Or science tattoo.
So for science
tattoo.
Science tattoo. Could not get a science right. I'm failing it. Let me unlink form. I think that's what I'm supposed to do.
Messing about.
I'm just trying to fix. I want to turn it off before I like say what the final verdict is, so that it doesn't mess me up later.
Okay. So meanwhile, Nancy says, "Want to make Georgia jealous? We will go for deep fried ice cream." I'm sad. Just post pictures.
So good.
I'll just, rule from afar.
I've been told I need to come to tea at 10 next week. I suspect there will be some sort of goodbye for me.
Maybe.
So maybe there will be yummy things at that.
There will be yummy things.
My last day of work. Although officially my last day of work is the 30th. I'm taking the last 2 days as vacation days because the movers will be coming.
Yeah, because you'll be kind of busy. Then Nancy says, "Looks like Ron and Dave's still around. They have a Facebook page."
Ron and Dave, great job. Where my brothers and I all got our tattoos. My mother is not a happy camper, but that's okay. I am making. Oh, here we go. Come on, turn off form.
There.
I'm getting my computer. My laptop is really slow, you guys. It's all good.
She's in the midst of moving, sort of here and at home.
Yeah, that's
she has a big office to clean out.
I have a big. It's awesome. I mean,
now
it's big
scattered
for me.
in 2 places.
Big for me.
Yeah. So that's sad.
Why am I failing at this? Here we go. Turn off. There we go. Form is turned off, which means I can refresh.
It's officially over.
All right, form is officially closed while I'm sitting here yakking away. So I'm going to refresh that and then pull up the summary page. I'll actually start screen sharing that from the other computer. This laptop is so sad.
It's okay.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to screen share. I'm going to choose that window. So that's the top of the responses page. I just hit reload, so it's loading. Wow. So there were several choices that you guys came up with. We first solicited suggestions from the Weekly Space Hangout crew, who I see is now doing a after the Weekly Space Hangout on Fridays. They're doing a Weekly Space Hangout crew private hangout.
Oh,
like
really?
Weekly Space Hangout crew in the pub or something like that. And I'm gonna have to get more into that. At least in July. I don't know. We'll see. My teaching schedule may make that impossible.
Is somebody actually in the pub for?
I don't know. It's not late enough for most of us in the U.S., but I suspect some of our European friends could actually broadcast from a pub if needed. So yeah, but you guys, so Weekly Space Hangout crew, Learning Space listeners and watchers have submitted really great astronomy-related suggestions, and this is still loading. Gosh, darn it. So things like the Very Large Array and D-Ray, because that of course is, amazingly famous radio telescope, a generic silhouette of a radio telescope, so we can play around a lot with that. Pillars of Creation was pretty popular, if I remember correctly. This Cassiopeia. There was a great suggestion for Flocculent Galaxy. I don't think that was very popular in the polls. Clearly, not enough of you guys saw me, goof off in the virtual star party. There's a new star party, by the way, happening. New weekly global star party, started by some of the astronomers that used to be part of the BSP and some other people. So your weekly view of the universe through telescopes can be seen through the global star party. I know they've been advertising in the space community, so definitely check that out. Because it's been too long since we've had a VP, so it's really nice to see somebody is taking that on.
Are they thinking of bringing the original back at all? Or
I don't think so. I think it's a different.
Yeah,
I think that's unfortunate. Okay. Hosts got busy with many projects.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This should be drum roll. Okay, no, this is gonna take forever. It's not drum roll the same time. Okay, so the winner is a silhouette of a radio telescope with 28.9% of the votes. Y'all know me.
28 point.
So 13. Yeah, I think there were a total of 45 votes. Okay. Let's see. Pillars of Creation 9 votes. We had VLA got a few, Quasar got a few, Moon and Venus, Magnetosphere. Everybody got a vote. Everybody got at least 2 votes.
I like to see
so
that.
We're nice and spread around.
Good. But second runner-up was?
Second was Pillars of Creation.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Pillars of Creation. That would be a nice one. That would be super overly detailed.
Yeah, that should have been too difficult to do.
I don't think so. I did a really good job on my
Some
first
lovely
one,
art.
so yeah, I'm not too concerned. If I go back to running days, if I can get that together. Yeah, so I will be getting a tattoo involving a silhouette of a radio telescope. I am going to connect with some of my more artsy friends on how to best do that. Particularly, I'll probably be bugging some of the Mad Art Lab people.
Sure.
we have an episode from a while back with the Mad Art Lab crew. They live at the intersection of science and art, and so they have some really fun stuff. I might ping Surly Amy and see if she's willing to send that over, just to get some ideas, just to get a rough sketch that I can bring to a tattoo artist who will then finish the design. So that's it. That is the tattoo you guys have selected for me. I am incredibly happy with this. I feel like this is my PhD tattoo come very late. I said I was going to do one then, and I just didn't get around to it. So, hooray!
Yay.
All
That's
right.
awesome. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your support of CosmoQuest and Learning Space and all the cool things. Thank you for those of you who've been supporting us through our Patreon campaign. I'm working on the perks, giving out the perks for May, because at the beginning of the month it tells us who paid last month. And then July 1st, even though or probably not July 1st, I'll be in the car, but one of the first days of July, even though I'll be gone, I will be, filling the June perks in July when I get back to New York. So even though technically I won't be here, technically I won't be working here, you're still going to be hearing from me.
Don't say that.
No, you're gonna hear from me. It's fine. So, anything else before we get on to the main event?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
That was the big thing.
That was the big main thing. So, what we wanted to talk about today was the what are you doing?
Poor computer.
Drunk.
Let it rest.
Is talk a little bit about some camp activities I did relating to exoplanets, not really exoplanets, to searching for life in the universe. That's one of my favorite topics to teach, is life in the universe. I'm still scratching too.
Which you taught that in grad school.
I did. Yeah, it's a 300 level course at the University of Virginia. Created Life Beyond Earth was the name of the course, created by Dr. Bob Rood, one of the coolest people I've known. So I took that over one of the summers, because grad students were allowed to teach in the summer, and had a blast teaching that. Last year, I did a camp with Sean Herbert, who used to work here in the STEM Resource Center at SIUE. And we did...
Was that Eyes on the Universe, or was that
It wasn't quite Eyes on the Universe. We called it the Backyard Astronomer Boot Camp, Backyard Astronomer Camp, where we had taught... we had the kids who were middle school, a few high school, go through a lot of different activities over 2 days that related to light and properties of light, and built their own Galileo Scope and did all that. So they loved it. The Loose Civic Center in Muscoda, Illinois asked to have us back again. Sean's not here anymore because he's off teaching now in, I think, middle school. So I agreed to do the camp, and thankfully I did have an intern. I had Valerie, our student worker, and noise
student
teacher,
workers,
who is amazing, because I would have died without
awesome.
her. We had 10 middle school kids come to the Loose Civic Center again in Muscoda. They signed up. At least one of them paid for it with his own allowance money, actually, because he was so into it. He paid for it with his own allowance money and biked over there. And I decided to focus it around life in the universe, since I like that topic so much, and because I've found a lot of great resources thanks to the Astronomy Ambassadors Program, which is a joint program between the American Astronomical Society and the Astronomical Society of the Pacific to train early career astronomers in doing outreach. So we did a hangout right after that workshop, actually, from like an empty ball, or like 2 corners of an empty ballroom. We had like 3 people around 2 computers. We had 6 people total. Anyway, it was a really fun hangout. It's a really fun learning space.
Does that program take grad students, or do you have to have?
Yep, grad students, postdocs. And new professors. So anyone who's kind of in an early career stage,
that's awesome.
Can do that program.
That's important.
They so they do it at the AAS meetings, and I think they did one at a Division of Planetary Sciences meeting. So they're there's like 4 cohorts or classes of us now. But they give you a lot of good materials and activities to work from. It's all on kind of a CD-ROMs that I've completely copied over to my computer because I don't have the CD drive in this anymore. It's quite fun. And so there's a whole section on exobiology, or life in the universe. So I dug through some of those, and I'm looking for the pictures that I just pulled over, and I can't find them, which is driving me nuts, and I can't think and search at the same time. All right, this stinks. I just made an album. I'll try it again. One of my favorites, one of the biggest hits, is an activity called Seen Through Alien Eyes. And this was one we did at the Astronomy Ambassadors Workshop that I was at. And I will, I know I'll be putting these resources out for some people. I think you can Google Seen Through Alien Eyes, you get a PDF. It is either at least copyright or reserve rights of the group that created it. But it's, you know, free for educational use. So go ahead and use it for educational use all you want. And the way this thing works is you have these theater gels are really good for this in specific colors. There's a red and a blue and a green. So there you go. So all right, you can look at these particular color theater gels, red, blue, and green. And in fact, we have the students with visors.
Whoa.
Invite. So around like one made. Yeah, I had students make their own, and then I gave away mine. I gave away mine because he couldn't find his, so I gave him mine. So here's my.
Wait, I'll hold it.
Oh, I think there's a paper clip. So this is basically made out of recycled manila folders, which in fact, like look at it. Yeah. This is from Dawn's Statue. Equipment, science activities, fiscal year 06.
Recycling in action.
I actually found old file folders we could use for this. You take the theater gel in. Oh, this is fun.
Okay. But all right, so they get to choose what color?
Either they can choose what color, or I assign them in groups. Like I had a green group, a blue group, and a red group. Or you can give one of each color to each member of the group. It kind of depends on how you want to do it.
Okay.
And then you have some felt material, and I'm leaving all this felt that I cut for the Resource Center. So if you happen to be an educator in the Southern Illinois area, this entire kit will be available for you for free. So I went to the craft store, got some felt. You can get black felt as a background. And then there's specific colors of felt that come that the activity recommends. But what you really can do is just bring those theater gels with you to the craft store and pick out the colors that'll work. And you have all of these objects. Nice. Let's pull out some of them.
Ah, I see letters.
Yes,
and
so the actual activity comes with these shapes you can cut out. There's a tree, there's a sun, there's a cloud, and there's a body of water. And I didn't have time to cut out all these individual felt pieces, so I used our die cutter, which didn't have any of those shapes, except for, well, that works as a sun. Instead of tree, I just made big T's for tree. The little, there's like a
blue star.
Yeah, that's a sun. For the pond, there were some weird geometrical shapes. I decided that this was a pond. So I just totally winged it based on what die cutter shapes we had. And then this was a cloud. I believe it's actually a kitty. We have die cutters of organs at the Resource Center. We have skeletons and organs.
It's a quote. Oh no, wait.
Because there was a heart and like another organ on the same piece. So yeah, they exist. So anyway,
I think it's a pancreas.
It might be a pancreas. I don't know. Biologists can yell at me now. But the idea is you put, all of these objects on this black felt as a background, and you lay this out. You can pin them, or you can.
So they kind of stick.
They kind of stick a little bit. I don't know. Gives you an idea of what it look like. And when you look at it through the theater gels, they don't look the color that they actually are. I even have an example T that's a black one that I had off to the side. Nice. So let's try something. Let's put the theater gel up to your webcam. See what it does. See if we can recreate the. Yeah. So if you're the blue person.
Wait. Okay. All right. This is the blue.
If you're the blue person, and I ask you to pick, you didn't see the colors before. Pick the green tree. The green T for tree. that's not easy, right? And so you have people trying to figure out which one is the green one. Let's try another color.
So there was a green one in there. So here's the
red one. So again, you're wearing your red visor. Oh, we look weird. Pick the green tree. It's like, and you know,
there aren't any.
Yeah, the way this kind of works is there's two ways that I did this. First, I had them. We have green. Let's do green. Why not? Let's do the trifecta. Let's do the trifecta.
Green.
Yeah, green tree. Yeah. So the green one, which is the one that was closed down, is bright in the green filter and dark in the red filter. Because you know your red-green cone.
I'm gonna keep this permanently on my cam. Okay,
we look pretty cool like that.
Yeah, so you see different things depending on your alien eyes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So if you were a biological species that only saw one color or saw the world differently, this is exploring how color looks to different organisms in a way.
It would be interesting. So if you didn't normally see what we consider green, would you even know how to answer the question, which one is green?
Right.
What is this green?
Yeah, they only, what is this green of which you speak?
Yeah. It's not in my mind.
We really got into it. So this was a particularly energetic group of kids. That's an understatement.
They were having fun.
They were a very energetic group of kids. And of course, I have like very little training in in middle school. And oh God. Oh my God.
Come on, tell.
There were, oh, there's the pictures, except that's not all of them. There were instances of children running around and roaring because there were aliens and jumping on the mats they're not supposed to do. It was quite a feat to keep them all together in a place and stuff. But anyway,
summer camp.
It was summer camp. So yeah, so we worked in lots of wiggle time activities too. And even that wasn't enough. But anyway, this particular activity, despite them being a super wiggly bunch of kids, really captured them. First I had them in groups of the same color, all the blues, all the reds, all the greens, and they had to figure out the colors, and they did okay. But then I had them switch around so that each group had like at least one red, one blue, one green. And then they had to decide amongst themselves which team was the green one, which sun was the yellow one, and all of that. And that's when you really get arguments that can break out. But they may figure out that, okay, if something looks really dark in red, but really bright in green, that must be the green one, because the green light's getting filtered in, but it gets filtered out by the red. So you get to see them put that together. And also,
did they come up with some of that vocabulary on their own?
No, I think they said filtered, but they figured out the concepts on their own.
Idea, yeah.
Yeah, they figured out the concepts on their own. They definitely figured out those concepts on their own. I was so happy to see them do that. So that was a lot of fun. Also, it's also a useful activity for teaching about how we build astronomical color astronomical images out of these filtered images. So if you have a red filter on your telescope, a blue filter, a green filter, this is, typically you'll have like individual color filters on your optical telescope when you're taking that image. You then measure the brightness in each of those colors and then use a software program to bring those together to make your multicolored image, which was a heck of a lab I did once in grad school with 2 infrared colors. We managed to make a tricolor image, which doesn't, probably not kosher. But it teaches you how the colors come together to create the full color images that you see. So it's interesting from that perspective as well. And I have some pictures of the kids. So later on in the day, I asked the kids to
in the visor.
I have a whole bunch of visors. Cool. I asked them. We did another activity where I asked them to design an alien settlement. So I'm gonna show you what they're wearing, and then I'm gonna actually talk about some of the other activities that went over really well. There's this screen share. Screen share. Screen share. There's the button. I'm sorry.
Good.
Not so great from the last show, is it? All right. So there's some of our lovely camp participants in their visors and some other gear.
I know, what's the headgear? Wait a minute.
So, okay. So, I like to build in either an engineering design project or an art project, or art and design and creative design into science stuff as well. I like to be more integrative STEAM, whatever. So last year we did an engineering design challenge. They had to figure out how to block radio waves from reading a handheld radio, but the sounds can still come out. Basically, it's leading them towards building a fairy cage. This time I had some creative activities where I gave them a whole bunch of craft supplies and said, make this. In this case, it was design a planetary settlement. And they decided they didn't want to design a planetary settlement. They wanted to dress up as planetary settlers instead. So I said, sure, go for it. So at this point, they're wearing, basically I accidentally made cosplayers.
Sure.
I completely accidentally made cosplayers. So they're wearing, so they put the visors on. This was not from the actual
This is natural for kids, though. That's
yeah,
cool.
and then, well, because it started with this young man here started with, can I make a tinfoil hat? I was sure. He goes, wait, really? Like, yes? Like, he was surprised I said yes. I said, sure, make a tinfoil hat. So he started making a tinfoil hat. And then this one starts making a sleeve and, like, adds a tube on it. And these all start making sleeves. So basically they are, this is my show me your explorer pose.
What are the sleeves? Yeah, what do they?
They were, some of them were guns.
Function? Yeah.
Some of them were guns because they encountered hostile aliens on their planet, and some of them were like instruments. I think this one has some kind of like sensors on it. That's what those straws are. So yeah, I've got a bunch of great pictures of my little cosplayers. This is their explorer pose again.
So like paper towel tube.
Paper towel tubes. Basically whatever stuff we had in the resource center. This is their fighting pose.
And folders. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it was quite fun, and I accidentally made cosplayers, and that makes me incredibly excited. There's more. Yeah, these kids are awesome. That's not even remotely it. I was just playing with things. Let's see if I can find some more photos, because there's this one little girl that just had this like look like I'm a superhero and you can't mess with me. There we go.
How many boys and how many girls did you have?
So we just had 6 for this activity. Some of them had to leave early.
Okay.
We started out with 10, and I think there were only 2 girls in the whole camp. Of course, I would like to see more girls, but the girls were totally into it, so I love that. So yeah, here's some of our kids with their tinfoil. So some of them actually did make settlements. These 2 actually did make some sort of settlement with like science instruments and like a water processing plant and all kinds of, that's like Play-Doh and feathers and stuff. And then the other ones were like cosplaying. So, but yeah, this girl, and just made me happy. I'm like, she needs to come to Dragon Con, because she's just like so into it right now. Yeah, so that was super fun.
Yeah, that was serious.
Yes, they're seriously into it. Yeah. We had another artsy type activity that was create an alien. We started talking about aliens, and I gave them characteristics of different worlds. I gave them, like, they had to choose from a pile of like Ganymede, Europa, Mars, Venus. I picked, a bunch of, as far as we know, probably inhospitable worlds to life. But, so let's just say, stretch it a little bit. What kind of alien do you think could live on that planet? This was one of the first activities we did. So it took a few minutes to get them started. They were like, this is like a very free activity. So they weren't sure what to do. So the first thing I did is I made a paper bag puppet and put an antenna on it and decided to call it an alien, and started like walking around the tables going, how does your alien eat? How does your alien poop? And one of the kids goes, I'm really glad poop is still funny when you're an adult.
Wouldn't want to lose that when
you're growing up.
Don't
want to lose that. Like, no. This is the same kid that's talking about how life may have come out of chemistry, and so certain accidents can make evolution happen. And what that same kid came up with, well, my parents say that most of us are happy accidents. Just
okay. Thank you for sharing.
From the mouth of babes. See, here they are creating and crafting. There's Valerie creating and crafting some of their aliens. Is this the right direction?
Excellent.
Yeah, it's the right direction. I don't know if we have any close-ups of their aliens. Valerie even made one with like feathers and tinfoil and a balloon. And
nice. Look at all the fun stuff they've got to play with.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
Especially because I was packing up for some of the other activities, and I was like, Valerie, I need craft supplies. I'm not creative enough to decide what that should be. So she put together this box of like amazing stuff. This one's a little styrofoam head.
Play-Doh.
Play-Doh. Yes, Play-Doh. There's popsicle sticks, there's feathers, there's paper bags, there's construction paper, there's glue,
supplies.
there's packing peanuts. I mean, Valerie went all out. I was so excited. And then I had them present up on the little stage and present their alien. This one's all pretty much made of Play-Doh. It was a very blue alien. This one, this was on, I want to say Europa. Yeah, this is Europa, and the plastic, the paper bag is like the body. The feathers are actually flippers because it's a whale.
Cool.
And there's like icicles hanging off the whale's belly. It was so cute. So that was super cool. You can't quite see, these are that we had various alien species interacted with each other and having wars. This one was actually, I don't think you can see it in his other hand, but he had just like a blob of stuff. He says, mine's an energy beam. It doesn't have a solid form, but sometimes it's just a solid form. It's like this, and it's like he has this like these binary code written out on it. It was real. I'm like you need to watch Star Trek. If you have not watched it, yeah, the blue blob is his energy. Got it. I was so excited about that.
What's in his other hand?
Is the paper bag that had binary on it.
Got it. Okay.
This one, like, he glued toothpicks to the paper bag so it had teeth. This was definitely a predator. And the pipe cleaners made like spikes on the back, and then he colored them orange for poison. They got really creative.
Thoughtful, yes.
Yes, and they kind of used the parameters of the worlds I'd given them, but they really just went all out with their creativity. There's another alien. I think that one got like a unicorn thing going on. A couple of kids are a bit shy about going up and talking about theirs. This one has pointy bits too. This one has like scorpion stingers, 3 scorpion stingers on it. I'm telling you, it was so great.
You can launch them.
Yeah, and then he's attacking the other one. This one, I never got the story of this one, but it's like a feather and pipe cleaners, and it's fantastic. But he was a little too shy to get up and talk in the room, so I totally get that. So giving them these supplies and giving them some parameters, and then encouraging them to work on this stuff was really great because they just ran with it.
Did they get ideas from each other almost by accident? Because they didn't have to work together, right?
Right.
You had them doing their own.
Right.
So
they did their own.
Were they? Did you kind of see them?
Yeah.
Sort of, listening and watching each other.
Yeah. They were getting ideas from each other.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, they were definitely getting ideas from each other, and I could see one person would start something, and the other ones would pick it up. But also they started having their species interact with each other. They were like predator and prey things going on. So it was, especially the ones that happened to have the same planet, they decided to set up like a predator-prey interaction. It's really cute. So I highly recommend that kind of activity, even if it's not something, I know this is not something I'm not terribly creative and good at coming up with stuff like that, but giving them the freedom to do that was really fun.
Definitely. So you get to know a little bit about what they already know.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so, yeah. And then they're learning from each other and having a good time, being very creative. And then the presentation or somehow sharing it out at the end is really nice too. That's really important. It kind of solidifies things, and then it lets you know what they're getting out of it.
Right.
So,
right. Is there, so this was an informal summer camp, so that's why they worked a lot into it. Something that's useful in the classroom as well, that kind of?
Oh, absolutely. So you could do this exact project in the classroom. You could you could set it up kind of like you did. It could be individuals, it could be different groups. So each group could get a world. Yeah. Each group could get some parameters, and then you can, work together to create an alien. Maybe it's part of its environment, maybe some technology that the alien has, made. And then, it could interact with others. And then there could be sort of a presentation at the end. I could think of, you can make it kind of a mystery sort of guessing game kind of thing, where if the whole class knew all the different possibilities, like here's the different planets, or here's the
Yes.
moons, and we know a little bit about them. So then, you know, as you come up and present your alien, you know, don't tell us what planet you are, but
Yes.
see if you can give us enough information that we can guess your planet. And then, you know, so that's just a little different twist. But yeah, it can definitely, because it's a more authentic, you know, it's very creative, but it's also very authentic because people are working together and thinking about how all those interactions take place, whether it's alien and environment or alien, you know, being and technology, other worlds. It's very much, you know, the kind of science that's going on today, as we think. And it helps us, it would help them think about how we interact with our own environment on Earth, right? So you can make, you know, some of those connections too. You know, what kind of technology do we have and why? And think about our own, you know, eyes, and how does that, you know, sort of dictate how we interact with our environment.
Sure.
So yeah, you can bring a lot in, and
Cool.
those are the cool kinds of activities that there's just almost no end to the different sort of permutations you can get out of them. You can do all kinds of great stuff. So yes, it's a very good teacher activity, and the kids would just have an awesome time.
Yes.
And
yes.
so, and it's the kind of, you know, informal activity really that, you know, we want people to bring into the formal classroom.
Okay.
And so groups like, you know, the NSF, I mean, a lot of the grants proposals coming out, you know, these, they're looking at ways to do that and why that works, why it seems to work. And a lot of times it's the engagement, it's the interaction, it's the creativity that's built into these informal kinds of activities that sort of brighten up sometimes the more traditional.
Yes.
Not always, but sometimes, you know, a little more sedate and traditional classroom environment.
Right.
So, but you know, some of the great teachers are already kind of doing that. So, so yay, great teachers out there already doing it. But this is, yeah, the perfect kind of activity that would be great for classrooms.
Yeah, there's an actual written up lesson plan for this. Again, I'm going to try and share all these if I can. If they're posted somewhere, I should be fairly to them. Like I said, I know some of it, like I said, some of it's under copyright, but some of it they've posted probably anyway. But yeah, I made it sound like we just winged it, which we did kind of just wing it because it was a summer camp.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one thing that Valerie learned. If I could teach Valerie anything, it was just wing it. But there's a more formal lesson plan around it. It can actually be a week-long project. Have them build really elaborate things out of old materials and stuff, and then have them do a report on it. I gave them a worksheet with some questions, and some of them filled it out, some of them didn't. It was totally like to guide them. So yeah, really make it a whole thing that's, you know, a whole big project. And you can
it could be a whole unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Yeah. What sounded like that?
Yes. We also, we built Galileo Scopes. This was one of the highlights. Of course, we've talked about Galileo Scopes on the show before. They are these relatively inexpensive kits that let you build your own telescope that is not too much unlike the one that Galileo used, only a much better eyepiece. One of the eyepieces is much better. So we had, the trickiest thing for this, we had these 3 tables, and so there were 4 kids at each table. And so there was just stuff everywhere. And I was trying to get them to keep all their little pieces in a pile so they didn't get lost. And I'm sure things still got lost. And there were, like, I think I was the only one who'd put together Galileo Scope before. So even though I had 2 or 3 helpers for this. Because, yeah, we had Beth, who's running the program there, or brought me in. She was helping, and then they had a local high school student that was helping, but I was the only one who'd put together Galileo Scope before, so I'm like running around. But we got them finished. So they got to bring them home. They got tripods as well. We usually order some, you know, fairly inexpensive camera tripods. Since the Galileo Scope doesn't come with a tripod, we order some fairly inexpensive camera tripods from Amazon to give them both so that they can really get the most use out of it. Unfortunately, we usually, last year when we did this camp, we scheduled nighttime observing so they could actually bring their telescopes out with their parents and learn to look at things. And the sky would have been perfect because Jupiter's up and Saturn's up, but it was cloudy. Both nights.
Oh, both nights.
Both nights. So sadly, we
No.
couldn't do that. I substituted our inflatable planetarium at one point, so I could at least talk about constellations with them. But we weren't able to actually. So what we did is we set up. We have this. We don't actually have it anymore, so I had Valerie make me a new one. I grabbed like a poster board, like a big piece of cardboard, big cork board, and then we made an arrow out of Christmas lights on it. So. And put it on the other side of the gym, and they had to focus on the Christmas lights. And the arrow is nice because they can tell that, oh, it's upside down. I mean, you can't really tell it's upside down and flipped because it's symmetric in one way. But they can look through those telescopes, and that was how we at least tested to make sure they put it together properly. Like, if you can't see anything, we have a problem.
You can use it. Has anybody used it for solar observing? You see Galileo Scopes?
I have seen
projection, maybe.
I have seen, I think on the Galileo Scope website, some ideas on how to do either solar projection safely. It's really great for solar projection because there's no glue holding this lens in. The lenses are plastic and there's no glue, so it really doesn't. Actually, I take that back. There's no glue, but I think because it's plastic, it's a little bit dangerous. You don't want it to melt it.
Really,
but so yes, I may not use it for projection, but I think people have bought or made solar filters for it, like legit solar filters. Don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. But if anybody can point you to the resource, it's Galileo Scope, galileoscope.org. I feel like I have actually seen that. Because otherwise, don't look at the sun. Don't look at the sun.
No.
Kids, don't look at the sun.
Right.
So yeah, so we looked at an arrow across the gym. That was about all we had, unfortunately. So, but they got to keep those and bring them home, and hopefully they'll go out with their parents. And actually,
their own telescope. Is so great.
Yeah, actually, some of them came back the second day, and they had, I think it had like partly cleared up a little bit late at night. So some of them had their parents let them go out, and so they actually tried to look at some stuff. So that was good. But yeah, so they got their very own telescopes. And of course, I brought the itty bitty radio telescope so that we could, demonstrate how that works. Look at the sun. It did not go over as well as I hoped because it's way too hot outside. And so we were outside.
So they
like,
want to be,
yeah, nobody wanted to be outside for very long. So it was a very quick demo. But I finished assembling one complete Galileo scope, not Galileo, one complete itty bitty radio telescope with a tripod, and I'm leaving it here at the research center with just a bunch of links and resources. So you guys will have that as a legacy. That's my legacy to the resource center. I got a dish out of a dumpster and I gave it to you guys.
Not just a dish.
Not just a dish. I did order a TripleMaster on eBay and went to Radio Shack before it closed and got all the other parts. But there's some great resources for the itty bitty radio telescope out there from the SETI League, from the Society of Amateur Radio Astronomers, and from the National Radio Astronomy Observatory. So I would look at them if you're looking for resources, but also on our blog at stemideas.org. I think later today there'll be a post going up with all those links and all the stuff, and then pointing people locally to the place on our web inventory where you can see the one that we have and actually take it out and use it. So.
Oh, fantastic.
The STEM Center has its own itty bitty.
All right. I
have enough parts for a second one. If I'm going to go ask Colin, our resource center manager, if he wants a second one, because it's actually, even though it's an itty bitty, it's like the tripod is like 5 feet tall. It's almost as tall as I am.
The itty bitty, sort of large radio
sort of large-ish, awkward radio telescope. Yeah, so depending, because I know storage space is at a premium, and you guys are going to have to move again.
Eventually.
Back to the other science building. So
we'll worry about that later.
Yeah. I told you guys I was going to be gone before they finished that building.
Yeah.
I called it.
That.
We knew that. We told you that.
Yeah. So are you going to do some radio telescopes at your camp?
Yeah, sure.
Potentially.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about
ideas that way.
Definitely going to have an itty bitty for outreach. I still have several more like TV dishes in the garage. My partner asked me, so when the movers come for an estimate, are we taking those? And I said, yeah, we're taking those. I'm going to make more. I'm sorry, Tim. And there's some interest, I think, in building a SRT, a small radio telescope. It's a project through Haystack Observatory. It was originally through Haystack Observatory. They were we're making these small radio telescope kits through a company, which they don't make them anymore, but they put out all the so you can make your own.
So these are bigger than the itty bitty.
Quite a bit bigger.
But not as big.
Not as big as
the
big ones. But
really
you can map the neutral hydrogen signal of the Milky Way galaxy and actually get the galactic rotation curve using it. I had a friend who did that when we were in college. Erin Mastrantonio. Hi, Erin. When we were in college, we went to a small liberal arts college, and they got an SRT, and she did that as well.
So that'd be a fantastic,
like, got my
high school project.
College.
Yeah.
I might make the, we'll see about that being a student.
Well, sure,
project. Yeah. So there is no astronomy major at St. Anselm yet.
Yes.
But there is an astronomy club.
But there, right.
The students did start an astronomy club.
Astronomy course.
And now there's an astronomy course.
What do we say? Resurrecting?
Yes.
They had it before, but
they had
now
it before,
you're...
They haven't taught it in a few years, and
So
now we're making it have a lab component so that it fits the science requirements I'm teaching it. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have lots of stories for you guys in future learning spaces.
Right. So
once I get into that.
Should be back. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else from this particular camp I wanted to share.
So those were the two main activities.
There were a lot of activities.
Right, but okay. These look like the
it was
two
like one after the other. These were the ones that were really a hit. Like making the Galileo Scope, anything involving make your own stuff out of craft supplies. The Seeing Through Alien Eyes was a big hit. Trying to think of what else. There's a couple others that were really great, but I was so busy I didn't take pictures. I did do constellation stories with them. I managed to somehow we managed to run them around, get them tired enough that they would sit and listen to a constellation story. So we did that, and then I had them make their own constellation stories, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, that's fun.
Because that requires very little physical resources, and again, they can just use their imagination. And there's a video if I can find it. There's the one of the kid falling on the floor. Okay,
always a crowd pleaser.
You guys won't hear the audio because I didn't set that up properly. I think it's gonna show. Basically, I think I told them like the Perseus and Andromeda and Cassiopeia story.
The big story.
Yeah, and
so were they reenacting? Is that what you're saying?
No, they were making their own.
Oh, okay.
This one. Oh, wait. I don't know if this is gonna load properly. Let's give it a try. I will try and narrate since you guys can't hear the audio. But there were llama. Oh, this because somebody brought up The Emperor's New Groove, which is a Disney cartoon movie from a while ago.
Okay, sounds familiar, but I don't think I saw it.
Llama. It's very good. It's very funny. And so we were talking about llamas, and they decided there was a llama they came up with a llama constellation, and it was a man kicked a llama. Okay, so the man kicked a llama. Because he's a mean person.
Never kick a llama.
And the llama turned out to be a powerful god because they've been listening to Greek stories. And then he falls over and dies. He basically improv'd a death scene, and then one of the kids black sharks clapping, going, "I love happy endings." I can't even describe what
right. You can't do that.
It's just fantastic. But they got to make up their own story, and I'm going to use slightly that I came up with off the top of my head because some of the activities I had planned involved a lot more sitting and listening. Some of the activities that involve coding radio signals and decoding alien signals, which I think are really great activities, would not have worked with this group in this situation.
They were just too.
It involved too much sitting and paying attention.
Quieter activities.
Yes, they're quieter activities. Great in a classroom, great with a lower key group. It's not going to work. So I decided to improv and start telling constellation stories and have them improv their own, since I had no materials for any other things that day. So we did that. I came up with that out of the blue. And that went over really well. If I planned it, one way you can do this is you can get black construction paper and randomly punch holes in it with a hole puncher and hand those out and have them, so these are the stars, see if do you see a shape? Can you make a constellation out of it? So they can make a constellation and then make a story about that constellation. So the camp I'm doing next week, I'm going to actually prepare it.
That's really great. I used to have my students do something similar, but I was teaching them about star maps, and so you can get the star map like two parallel ones, you know, one with the lines of the constellations drawn and the other one with just the star field. So you can give them the one with just the stars. So it's the actual patterns. But they get to look at it and draw their own patterns.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
they're still working with the actual star field, but they're just redrawing stuff.
That's
and
cool.
So, and then they, you know, of course, name it, give it their own name, and then they have to write a story about how it got up into the sky, or just a story, why it's a constellation and why people, you know, thought it was important enough or interesting enough to see it in the stars. So
cool.
That's so similar. So it's just, you know, you're making up your own.
And that gives them a connection to the real sky.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
You should do that. You can do that with the Star Lab too.
Yes.
So which maybe you do.
I did do that with the Star Lab.
Making up your own constellations.
We did the Star Lab. I couldn't bring them a real sky. We brought the inflatable Star Lab,
which is awesome.
And so, again, so they held it together, and I was worried because once you get them all in that dark space, it's just all hell breaks loose. But I would just turn the stars off until they quieted down. It worked really well. They were like, shh,
use your godlike powers to take the universe away for just a minute.
Sit down, be quiet, or I'm turning off the universe. Basically, and it worked. It actually worked. So we did that.
No, that's boring. That's okay.
So I turn on the northern hemisphere stars without the constellation lines and ask them what did they see, and they're like, lots of stars. I don't know where anything. I can't even tell. I mean, it's the analog.
It's too many.
It's the analog one. It's not a digital projector. It's the one with the cylinders. So I can't tell. I don't see stars. There's too many stars. I can't tell. I will, you know, cheat and check it out beforehand and know vaguely where things are supposed to be. I'll point out a few, and then I'll turn it down and then switch to the one with the lines, and you get that. Whoa!
So funny.
Every time you turn it back on, which is fantastic, and then you can tell some of the stories.
Yeah, so it's great.
Yeah, so we did do a Star Lab. That was fun.
So you have to go with what your kids are sort of directing you to in a way.
Yes, definitely.
What they're all about.
Yes.
But it's creative, active, sharing, using the stuff you have. All great teaching skills, right? Yeah. So you'll just see that play out in a larger way when you get to your new place.
Yay!
Terrified. You'll be doing cool stuff. Yeah, you'll be doing way cool stuff.
It'll be
right?
Cool. Yeah, and that college has a big emphasis on volunteerism, and so I hopefully foresee you know, getting involved in outreach activities as part of their volunteerism. So little community. Yeah. So that's the plan. That's the tenuous plan.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I'll be around. Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pop into the Weekly Space Hangout once in a while now too, if I can. I'm gonna check through the comments, see if
I've not been paying attention to that.
I checked earlier. I don't think there was anything on fire. Crew and Brew. Nancy, so the Weekly Space Hangout crew. After the Weekly Space Hangout is a Crew and Brew hangout.
After party.
It's like an after party. That looks awesome. Susan Hunter. Oh no, today is my first live viewing. Oh, but good luck. Sorry. Learning Space will continue in some form.
It's not the last.
It just won't be hosted by me.
The last.
And Elad says, "Oh, Nicole's leaving. Miss you. Thank you. Look forward to seeing what the future holds. Yay!" Nancy wonders if I will be starting a local chapter of Learning Space in New Hampshire. I can introduce local kids to these activities. Learning Space Summer Camp would be awesome. That would be awesome. And I know that was something I talked about doing here, but never had the time or resources to pull together. Dark Skies, Bright Kids is the outreach group I did in Virginia. And that's a possibility of doing something like that, expanding that model to the New Hampshire area. Just because it's I love running. I love that group and how we ran things. So in fact, I used a lot. That's where I learned to monitor and adjust.
It'll be cool to reach out and see what kind of amateur groups they have going on.
Yes,
and,
there's an amateur group that meets
connect with that
once a month.
Yeah, they're always awesome. And
there's I don't know if I don't remember if it's called Manchester Astronomical Society, but some Manchester-based local astronomy club, or no, New Hampshire-based club. They meet every month, and they switch between 2 locations every other month, and one of them is St. A's. So they meet on campus. Yeah, okay. So I will have to get involved with them because that'll be exciting. Because I love amateur astronomers because they're better with telescopes than I am.
Oh, they're
they
awesome.
They show me cool things, and they show me how to use telescopes right. Optical telescopes.
I was going to say, the optical.
I can use the radio ones. I don't do optical. So yeah, that is pretty much that. Is there anything else? I'm gonna put this kit back together.
Yeah. So this
next
is
week
awesome,
I'm doing 6 hours of summer camp for another group next week. So I'll
and you're going to use these things.
I'm gonna use this one because this was such a hit. I'm gonna do. We don't have Galileo Scopes for that one, but there'll be another telescope-like activity. The Eyes on the Universe kit, which we have here.
Yeah. That uses the lenses.
It uses lenses and cardboard tubes. Yeah,
kind of like the paper towel tube.
Kind of like paper towel tube, but they actually go inside each other, so you can change the focus.
Yes,
which is
it's a good model.
Yeah, they don't get to keep it, but it's a cool model activity. And the Providence Planetarium, which will fit. Oh, I have to show one last picture because we brought a bunch of stuff. Last time we did a similar camp, it was me and my car. And then, like, somebody brought a pickup truck, so we loaded the pickup truck with all the materials. And this time I was like, yeah, Valerie, I'll pick you up at the resource center, we'll drive over together. All we have is my car. Okay, we'll figure this out. So the first day, we brought all the Galileo Scopes, all the tripods. And actually, the Lucific Center bought them all. Like, they bought a set of, like, 25, even though we only had 10 kids, because that's how many we opened the camp to. Okay. So they're going to, they bought them to hang on to them to run another camp, so. Hopefully, even though I'll be gone, someone's gonna be doing Galileo Scope camp for those kids next year. And so I got to leave those, and then we came back that night. We put bits of the planetarium in both our cars, and then to get it back, since it was Friday afternoon, I didn't want to make Valerie drive back to campus and then go home. I was like, let's see how much of it we can fit in. We have the entire full dome planetarium, plus the 2 big boxes that come with it, plus 2 itty bitty radio telescopes and their tripods, plus boxes and boxes of craft supplies. It only worked because we left the Galileo Scopes and the tripods there. And 2 wheelie carts. This is in my Subaru Impreza, which, if you guys know, is not a terribly big car. It's one of the smallest Subarus that you could get. This is a shout out to my friend Nikki, who me into getting this car because I wanted a even smaller one. Yeah, that is my car full of astronomy. After we were done, look at that. So this is probably not safe or legal.
It's all in there.
It was the entire camp got packed in my car to come home.
Camp on wheels. Camp on the go.
Stayed in the right lane the entire way home.
Yeah.
The things we do. Yeah, and then I roped my very kind and wonderful partner, Tim, to help me unpack when we got here.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Anyone who's willing to put up with an astronomer, an academic, a teacher, you're. So yeah, I think that's it. I will be posting links to all of the activities we discussed, or as many as I can remember that we discussed, on the show notes for this, which means on the YouTube note section, on the YouTube section, the Google Plus page, notes about whatever section, and then if you're listening to the audio version of this later on, those will be copied over into the 365 Days of Astronomy podcast notes.
Great.
Yeah, so I will post all of those so that you have access to these activities. They're pretty awesome. They are pretty fun, and hopefully you can give them a try in your own setting, and that would be really cool. Awesome. Yeah. So
awesome.
That's it.
That's it? No. It's not really it.
It's not
That's
it.
the thing. Right. So
I'm really not
really it.
really not going anywhere internet wise. So
the internet is everywhere.
The internet is everywhere.
So I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not it.
It's not it. I've barely started packing at home. It doesn't feel like I'm
You will.
I have, what is it, the 15th, 16th, 17th? Yeah. I have 13 days to get out of my apartment.
Plenty of time. The closer it gets, the faster you'll pack.
Yes,
So
yeah, I've
it'll
blocked
work.
off. I was going to do some more astronomy outreach this week, and the clouds have prevented that. But I think next week, because I've had people asking for private requests for private star parties, and I've been trying to do them. Like all of a sudden, people discovered that we're doing this.
Yeah.
So I got all these requests this month.
Of course.
I tried to fit as many as I could, and yeah, next week I'm just calling it quits, and I'm gonna just pack and leave things. So No more astronomy for me. No more astronomy for a little while.
For a little while.
I'll be in Staten Island. Can't see Jack.
That's all right. You need some downtime.
Yes.
You need to chill out for a little bit.
I suspect
get
next
organized,
month. Yeah.
And then kind of you'll reemerge on the other side.
I will reemerge on the other side. Yeah. Definitely
Sure.
going to spend some time next month getting my lesson plans together for the 2 classes I'm teaching. Since I have nothing else to do except crash at my mom's house. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing all next month. Internet willing, hopefully I'll join in on a weekly space hangout now and again, depending on how the internet is at my mom's house. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And just stay tuned for whatever sort of form Learning Space ends up being in as it goes into the future, but it's not going to go away. So you'll just have to sort of be a surprise. We're doing it.
Woo! All right. So this is actually officially episode 97. We didn't quite make it to 100. That's what. We did a bunch of quickies, which didn't really count towards that count. So
yeah, it's okay. It's not really it. It's not it.
It's not the end. All right. So thank you everyone for watching.
So thanks again, and Nicole. I
Thanks
know
for your support.
everybody is just gonna miss you, and we thank you for really doing this thing.
Thank you.
It has been your thing.
Thank you. Oh. All right.
So
Hug.
For now. Bye for now.
We'll see you guys soon.
And thanks everybody for watching again. Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.